It was a time when voices, outraged by the TPLF-led EPRDF leadership, echoed throughout the country. The Oromo and the Amhara youth, widely known as Qeerroo and Fanno in particular, persistently pestered the government, which harassed them over the years by going out into the streets. Crossed arms raised above their heads, a sign Fayisa Lelisa globalized at the 2016 Rio de Janeiro Olympic Games. The youth forced the government to surrender. The pressure compelled the EPRDF to elect a new chairperson. The newly elected Prime Minister, on his part, blamed his party for the injustices and oppression perpetrated against the country and the people.
ሕገ መንግስቱ በፍርድ ቤት የታሰረ ሰው ግረፉ ጨለማ ቤት አስቀምጡ ይላል አይልም። መግረፍ ጨለማ ቤት ማስቀመጥ አካል ማጉደል የኛ የአሸባሪነት ተግባር ነው። ለዚህ ደግሞ ኢህአዴግ በግልጽ ይቅርታ ጠይቋል ህዝቡን አጥፍቻለሁ በድያለሁ ብሎ እኔንም እግዚአብሔር ይስጣችሁና ጠቅላይ ሚኒስትር ስትሉኝ እዚህ ቆሜ ይቅርታ ጠይቄያለሁ በዚህ ጉዳይ ላይ።
With the apology of the chairperson and the premier, not only were closed streets, but aggrieved hearts opened up too. Winds of unity, harmony, and forgiveness started blowing under the Ethiopian sky. Happiness and hope reigned in the hearts of everybody. Within months occurred unexpected and unimaginable happenings that baffled everyone.
ሰላም ካልን ቆይቷል ማታውቁት አይደለም። ዝም ብሎ ቦሮ ሄዶ አስመራ ኢሱ እያለ አንዳንዶቻችን የማንደፍረው የምንታወቅ ሰዎች ነን። ወደ አፎ ኢሱም እያለ እንትን የሰራው ስራ ባይዞ የተራ ነገር ነው። ዝም ብለን ስናየው ከላይ ግን profound ነው።
After the Hawassa EPRDF Congress, however, deeds did not match words. The unanimity and confidence reached at the Congress began to erode.
Abiy has allowed this for Isaias to wreck Ethiopia under the guise of cooperation.
Merging of the front that has been exhaustively discussed and agreed upon over the years could not materialize due to the rejectionist stance of TPLF. As a result, all the fronts in the coalition except TPLF and partner organizations merged. Even if the federal government showed patience and tolerance in handling things, the regional party TPLF started beating drums of war.
ትግራይና እዚህ አካባቢ የሚደረግ ጦርነት ዝም ብሎ ተራ የሰፈር ግጭት አይደለም። it is real war ነው የሚሆነው። የመረሳት የለበትም። እኔ ለማስፈራራት አይደለም የምናገረው። የኢትዮጵያ ሕዝብ ሁኔታውን እንዲያውቅ ነው። እዚህ አካባቢ የሚጀመር እሳት ተራ የመንደር ተራ የአካባቢ የክልል ግጭት አይሆንም። full fledged ጦርነት ነው የሚሆነው።
Thus, religious figures, the elderly and mothers who foresaw the destruction the bellicose acts of TPLF would incur repeatedly called on the group to give peace and negotiation a chance. They pleaded to the group to reconcile its differences with the federal government. Nevertheless, The response of TPLF was disappointing.
በልጆቻችን የተለያየ ሰቆቃ እንድናይ አንፈልግም እኛ እናቶች እናት አትዘን እናት እንባዋ ይቁምላት እናት ሰላም ታግኝ እናት ድራኩላ በልጇ ታብብ አገራችን ሰላም ትሁን ኢትዮጵያ ሰላም ትሁን
እኛ ሰላም ነው ይዘን የመጣ እናቶች ነን እንደ እናትነታችን ደግሞ ያለውን ሰላም ሚለውን ነገር መልእክት አስተላልፈን በኔ ጥሩ ነው
ትግራይ ህዝብ ሰላምን አስጠብቀው ሌላውን በአግባቡ አስተናግደው እየኖረ ያለ ሌሎቻችን ለምን ነው የተቸገርነው ምን ስለጎደለን ነው ቢያንስ የትግራይን ያክል እንኳን ሰላም ማስፈን ለምንድን ማትችሉት ተመካክራችሁ ተግባብታችሁ ለምንድን ነው ማትሰሩት ስለዚህ እኛ መልእክት ይሄን መሆን ያለበት ከትግራይ መውሰድ ያለባችሁ ይሄን ነው እንጂ ሰላምን በተረጋገጠበት ሰላም አረጋግጡ አይደለም
As the COVID-19 pandemic engulfed the world and spread fast in Ethiopia, the 6th general election, scheduled for August 2020, was legally postponed. The regional party TPLF nonetheless defied the decision passed by both the House of People's Representatives and the House of Federation and held election in Tigray region.
When the general election that was scheduled for this year was postponed to 2021 due to COVID-19 through constitutional interpretation and decision of the House of Federation, the TPLF doubled down on their unconstitutional assertion and in a blunt violation of the Constitution, TPLF adopted its own illegal electoral law, an illegal electoral commission, and conducted an illegal election in which it won all the seats in the regional council.
When the federal government rejected the election, the TPLF leadership reciprocated by saying it also did not recognize those who dismiss its election.
Now that the 5-year term has expired, we have nothing to do with, we have no dealings with the Prime Minister as a Prime Minister. Well, I would probably have a phone call with the former Prime Minister, but it doesn't make him a Prime Minister. Debretsion would probably have a phone call with the former Prime Minister.
On top of holding illegal election, TPLF bragged that war had been their traditional dance and they could make and unmake wars on whim. And the entire clamor was accompanied by shows of force and military parades. War seemed inevitable.
We must run against time. We don't have that luxury. And Abiy is playing with fire. Abiy's group is playing with fire.
ውጊያ ለትግራይ ህዝብ ባህላዊ ጨዋታው ማለት ነው ይሄ ማንም የሚረዳው ነገር ነው ስለዚህ ጠላቶቻችንም ድባቅ መምታት እንደምንችል ምንም ጥያቄ የለውም በዚህ ደረጃ ዝግጁነቱ አለ
እኛ ትጥቅ ትግል ጀምረን ከዜሮ ከትንሽ በ17 ዓመት ሙሉ 17 ዓመት ጦርነት ሰራዊት ፈጥረናል ትልቅ ሰራዊት አሸናፊ ውጤታማ የሆነ ሰራዊት ኮሮች ደምሰሰን ኮር ፈጥረናል መካናይዝዶች ደምሰሰን መካናይዝድ ፈጥረናል ሙሉ የተደራጀ ከነ ታንኩ ከነ መድፉ ትልቅ ሰራዊት መገንባት እናውቃለን እኛ ያላወቅን ማን ያውቃል ታቅፈነው እኮ ነው የምንኖር ያለው
83 ዓመተ ምህረት ጉንበት ውስጥ ሁለት ነገር ነው የታየው መጀመሪያ ደርግልን ነበር ከዛ በፊት የነበረው ነገር ነበር ያለው ከዛ ግን ኮምፕሊት ተለወጠና ያ ሊቀየር የማይመስል ነገር ነገሮች ሁሉ ተቀያየሩ ነበር ሆነ በቃ እና ይሄም ይቅርና ይሄ ያኛውም ነበር ሆነ ማለት ነውና መፍትሄ የሚሆነው ነበር እንዲሆን ማድረግ ብቻ ነው።
በትግራይ ክልል ግጭት እንዲነሳ ወይም ከአማራ ወይም ከኤርትራ ወይም የፌዴራል መንግስት ግጭት እንዲያነሳ በጣም ይፈልጉ ኃይሎች አሉ። እንደዚሁ ከምንሸነፍ በጉልበት ተመታን በሚል መጨረሻችን ይደምደም የሚል ሐሳብ ያላቸው ሰዎች አሉ። እኔ ከትግራይ ክልል ጋር ውጊያ የመክፈት ፍላጎት የለኝም። የትግራይ ክልልም የጥይት ድምጽ መስማት ይበቃዋል የሚል ሙሉ እምነት አለ።
During the night of the 4th of November 2020, TPLF attacked the northern front of the National Defense Force and inflicted heavy damage. Thus, the pride of African countries in peacekeeping, the well-disciplined and famous Ethiopian Defense Force, was stabbed in the back.
እናትህና አባትህ ይክዱኛል ብለህ ባልጠበቅበት ሰዓት ክደት ተፈጽሟል። ቤታችን ነው ሰላም ነው ብለን ባለንበት በተደራጀ ኃይል የአፈና ስርዓት ተካሂዷል። ይህን ስሜት ለመግለጽ ግን ቃላት ያጥራል።
The TPLF leadership dubbed the heinous attack as Thunder Strike.
የሰሜን እዝን ከተባበሩት እጃችንን አናነሳም ካሉት የእዙ አባላት ጋር በመተባበርና ሊተባበሩ ፈቃደኛ ያልሆኑትን ደግሞ በኃይል ተልኳቸው እንዳይወጡ ዲሞቢላይዝ ወይም ደግሞ ዲስቴብላይዝ በማድረግ የተደረገ እንቅስቃሴ ነው። በጣም ፈጣን የሆነ እርምጃ ነው የተወሰደው። በኦልሞስት በ45 ደቂቃ ውስጥ እዙን በሙሉ ለመቆጣጠር የተቻለበት ነው።
The fugitives within the TPLF have been determined to trigger an armed conflict by attacking the northern command of the Federal Armed Force stationed in the Tigray region earlier this week, intending to take control of its mechanized weaponry and capability. Few days prior to this attack, the regional administration of Tigray publicly declared that they can dictate terms regarding personnel change and movements of the Northern Command, compromising the integrity of the National Defense Force. No federation and constitutional order can tolerate such illegality.
The atrocious cruelties of the evil group did not stop at that. It committed a grossly inhumane act that horrified the world by massacring innocent people at Maikadra. The ethnic targeted killing was a sad and barbaric act which humiliated Ethiopians and left an indelible scar on the country. Not confined to the strikes against the Northern Command on 200 camps in Tigray, the group also opened war on areas bordering Amhara region that same night. The Amhara Special Force, which swiftly responded to the call of the Prime Minister, however, turned the dream of TPLF returning to power into a nightmare and played a big role in stabilizing the area.
በአማራ ክልልም በሶሮቃ በቅራቅር አካባቢ እንዲሁም ደግሞ ከዚህ በኋላ በሌሎች አካባቢዎችም ሊገመት የሚችል የጥቃት ሙከራ ይሞክራል ተብሎ ይታሰባል። ግን አሁን እስካሁን ባለን መረጃ በሶሮቃና በቅራቅር አካባቢ የውጊያ ሙከራ አድርጓል።
ዞሮ ዞሮ ልዩ ኃይላችን ይሄንን መክቷል። ለወደፊቱ እንግዲህ ይሄ ከዚህ በፊት እንደነበረው የአማራ ህዝብ ስትራቴጂክ ጠላት የሆነው ትነግ የከፈተው ጦርነት ያው ዲፋክቶ ስቴት የመመስረት ሙከራ ነው የሚመስለው። ይሄ ሙከራ አይሳካም።
The sad and shameful act did not stop at betraying the National Defense Force that shed their blood to safeguard the nation and the people. Huge infrastructure networks, public utilities, and religious institutions have also been targets of the criminal group. Instead of being ashamed of this act, TPLF is publicly and proudly announcing its heinous to intensify the destruction.
Our strategic defense units have taken proportionate measures against the military runway and the control tower in Bahar Dar and Gondar airports. It's our understanding that we have caused significant damage to the military assets at the Bahar Dar and Gondar airport. And as I have said earlier, we will continue to target facilities that are being used to target Tigray and Tigray interests in other parts of the country, whether these are airports in Eritrea or airports in other parts of the country, or even infrastructure that is being used.
There had been a communication blackout since November 3rd, 2020 in Ethiopia's Tigray region. This problem has now been fixed and communication and telecom services have been restored. The sole telecom service provider, Ethio Telecom, has revealed that it has found video footage from CCTV cameras in its North Region office as a group of individuals intentionally disconnected the network. The TPLF bandits who were humiliatingly defeated through the law enforcement operation carried out by the government to protect peace and security of the country by responding to the war they triggered, opened propaganda and media warfare.
Now we are in a war zone where the people of Tigray and the Tigray army have been waging
They have taken the laboratory equipment, computers, books.
The government, alongside conducting the law enforcement operation in Tigray region, has been diligently providing humanitarian assistance and reconstructing the destroyed infrastructure. Some 70% of the humanitarian assistance distributed in the region is also supplied by the government.
አሁን ደህና ነው። መጀመሪያ 7 ኪሎ ተሰጥተናል በእንትን ማለት ነው በስድራ ቤተሰብ። አሁን ግን 15 ኪሎ ወስደም ህዝብ ደህና ነው እየበላን ቂጣ እንበላለን ጎንፈም እንበላለን እንጀራም እየበላን ደህና ነን ያለን።
እርዳታ አቅርቦቱ በቂ ባይሆን ግን ጥሩ ነገር እንደሄድና ከ0% ወደ 80% እየገባና ህብረተሰቡ በትክክል እየደረሰው ነው። አንዳንድ እንቅፋቶች አሉ። ለምሳሌ አሁን በማረት በኩል ነው የሚመጣን። ማረት ደግሞ የድሮ የነዛ ሰዎች የነበሩ ናቸው። እነሱ አንዳንድ የፖለቲካ ዝንባሌ ያላቸው ሰዎች ነበሩ። ዝሮ ግን በከንቲባው ጥረትና በሌላው በመቀሌ ከተማ አስተዳደሮቹ የቀበሌዎች ይሁን የወረዳዎች አስተዳደሮች ጥረት ወደ ጥሩ ሁኔታ እየደረሰና እየተከፋፈለ መሆኑ ነው እኔ የምረዳ።
በተለይ በትግራይ ክልል ውስጥ ባለው ፈታኝ ጊዜ ውስጥ በመሆናችን እናንተም ህዝቡም ትልቅ ፈተና ውስጥ በመሆኑ ይሄ ደግሞ የራሱ ለየት ያለ ስሜት ይኖረዋል። እንግዲህ እንደሚታወቀው አሁን ያለንበት ወቅት ማንም ፈልጎት የመጣ መንግስትም ሳይፈልገው የመጣ ችግር ቢሆንም እንግዲህ ህዝባችን ፈተና ውስጥ ነው ያለው። ጦርነት ይዞት የሚመጣው እንግዲህ ጥሩ ነገር የለም። በዚህ ፈተና ውስጥ ግን አሁን ትልቁ ትኩረት ግን እንደ መንግስትም ሁላችንም በተለይ ደግሞ ጤና ውስጥ ያለን ባለሙያዎች ህዝቡን መታደግ ህዝቡን ለህዝቡ መድረስና ተረባርበን በጋራ ሆነን ከዚህ ችግር ውስጥ ቶሎ ፈጥኖ ማውጣት ነው። ለዛም መንግስትም በጣም በቁርጠኝነት በጋራ እንግዲህ ከጊዜያዊ አስተዳደሩም ጋር በተለይም ከህዝቡ ጋር እየሰራ ነው።
In its endeavor to quickly restore and rehabilitate Tigray, the government had invited ambassadors, diplomats, and leaders of international organizations to the regional capital Mekelle so that they could understand the reality on the ground and extend support. It has registered good results in that respect.
We are closely working with international NGOs, UN agencies. OCHA is with us, coordinating the UN agency, and different NGOs are also working closely with us. And it's in this ECC that USAID came and visit us, where we tried to explain the situation in the region, and thank you for that. USAID has provided us 6 months food support for 1 million people, and that is now currently ready for distribution through WFP. And thank you very much. So we tried to manage and distributed 76% of the food commodity to the beneficiaries, and we have addressed 76% of the total caseload.
First of all, access, humanitarian access. You are all aware that we are calling for that for long, and I appreciate that this was part of your presentation, part of the challenges. Still, we actually welcome the decision of access, of grant access, unlimited access to Tigray.
More flexibly than possibly before. So I don't think we can wait until everything is stable again. Meanwhile, we have to go in, and I think just a big thank to the Ministry of Agriculture to that already is, of course, on the PSNP a little different than normally, and the urban safety net also has dispersed, so we're very happy about that.
With regard to the infrastructure, this is an area where the World Bank is already working with the government, and we will accelerate our work with respect to the damage need assessment on infrastructure, and also to look at within the prospect of our financing, how we can address within existing projects.
With regard to the infrastructure, the federal government has invested a lot by mobilizing resources at national level in terms of expertise and the budget, especially to restore the infrastructure such as electric power, telecom, banking system, and other related activities. And we acknowledge the progress so far achieved in this regard, especially on the part of the federal government.
Once war erupts, it causes destruction, displacement, migration, pain, and suffering. This fear was the reason why the government implored the TPLF leadership to desist from saber-rattling for years. At present, the government is carrying out different activities to rebuild the region, repair the broken, revive the destroyed, and return Tigray to its former state.
መቀሌ ከተማ ከሰላም አንጻር ያላት እንቅስቃሴ ሲታይ ህዳርና ታህሳስ ወር ከነበረውና አሁን የካቲትና መጋቢት ወቅት ካለው በጣም ደስ የሚል ልዩነት አለ ማለት ነው። ስለዚህ ብዙ ችግሩ ተቀርፏል ባይባልም ግን በጎ ላይ
ከሰላም አንጻር ያላት እንቅስቃሴ አሁን የተሻለ ነው። ምክንያቱም በመጀመሪያ ስንጀምረው በጣም ችግር ነበረ። ችግሩ እየተቃለለ ጸጥታው ኃይል እየተጠናከረ ስለመጣ አሁን መቀሌ ደህና ሁኔታ ላይ ትገኛለች። አልፎ አልፎ ካልሆነ በስተቀር የሰላም ጉዳይ እንቅስቃሴውም ጥሩ ነው። ገበያም አለ። ሁሉም ስራ ገብተዋል። የመንግስት ሰራተኛ ወደ ስራ ገብተዋል። ነጋዴውም በሩ ከፍቶ እየሰራ ነው። የሱቅ ከፍቶ እየሰራ ነው። ለጥሩ ነው ያለው።
At the moment, peace in the region has been improving steadily, although occasional problems are observed. The reopening of certain institutions that provide public services indicates that Tigray is ready to return to its former state.
አንድ ዋናው ሰብሳቢያችን ነበሩ። ኔትወርክ ይከፈትልን ማብራት ይጠገንን ያሉ ሲዞር ነበር የሚውሉ። አሁን እነሱ ተስተካክለውልናል። አሁን በእውነት ይመስገነው።
መቀሌ በአሁኑ ሰዓት ያው የተረጋጋች ነው የምትመስለው። የተለያዩ አገልግሎቶች ስራ ጀምረዋል። ባንክ ጀምረዋል፣ መብራት ጀምረዋል፣ የውሃ አገልግሎትም አለ። ገበያውም ያው ጀምረዋል። የሕክምና አገልግሎቱም ጀምረዋል እና የተሻለ ነው ያለው።
Even if the Eritrean army that moved from across the border to Tigray to fill the void created when the northern command was attacked, it is withdrawing from the area by handing over the territory to the Ethiopian Defense Force. Currently, the Ethiopian government is working strongly to withdraw the entire troop of Eritrean force from the Ethiopian border. Although the assault of the TPLF clique and its agents on the media, like the attack on the northern front, succeeded at first in confusing the international community, international institutions and the international community have now realized that the false information spread by TPLF is cheap and malicious. As always, truth has prevailed at last. The recent report issued by the United Nations Security Council recognizing that the law enforcement operation being carried out by Ethiopia is an internal and sovereign issue attests to this fact. With respect to the conduct of the legal enforcement operation in Aksum and other parts of the region, the Ethiopian Human Rights Commission, which has become a bold institution that has been issuing critical reports on the government, is investigating the cases fully independent. It will release the report to the whole world upon completion of the investigation. The outcome of beating war drums, provocations, and fueling of conflicts were concretely manifested. Tigray still needs additional humanitarian assistance and better peace. So, the focus of everyone should be to work together towards ensuring peace in the region and consolidating humanitarian assistance.